I've always thought that the work on an instrument has a kind of elegance to it that few of us get to see. I think it's wonderful to go behind the concert, to go behind the curtain and see the beauty that's created for us by a skilled craftsperson like Ulrich that we never see, that we only hear, that we all experience, but that is completely hidden from our view.
I grew up in England when I was very little. Then we lived in Hamburg for 12 years, and then we moved to Vienna. We were very much exposed to musical culture in Vienna, with orchestral concerts, opera in particular, but also dancing and balls and the whole etiquette of classical music, which is still so alive in Vienna. Music was always part of our household, although none of my family are active musicians. Had you told me after A-levels I would tune pianos or prepare pianos for the greatest pianist of the world, I would have laughed. I work for Steinway Sons, the piano manufacturers. I've been with them for 37 years this year. I started in Hamburg, which is my hometown, as a piano maker apprentice in our German factory, and have been with pianos ever since. Pianos are wonderful things, and the wonderful thing of the Steinway brand is that Steinway pianos are scattered all around the world, which is one of the reasons that I'm here in Atlanta.
I was absolutely thrilled when I got here and knew that Ulrich had been here already for nearly a decade, coming every year. He is the best in the world, absolutely, without question. Everyone knows who Ulrich is.
Working here at Spivey Hall is very much influenced by the fact that we have the luxury and the budget for me to come once a year. So it's almost like visiting a patient that you know well, so you can immediately take the pulse to see what's going on. So the first thing when I arrive, I'll play the piano, see how they sound, and see how they feel. First stage of a service is housekeeping or preparation work, where you take the piano apart and you check every part from casters to legs to music desks to hinges, that there's no rattle, that all the screws are there. You have to remember piano's like a machine, so in the action there's a lot of friction points, so you address them all, that there's no friction. It's a Teflon, microfine Teflon powder, and it goes onto what we call the rollers. I think here in the States it's called the knuckles. Which is the contact of the jack pushing up the hammers towards the strings. So you want a very frictionless, noiseless movement across the roller. And will be sort of the final prep work of the top action after shaping the hammers. And once we've tidied the excess dust off, we'll take it all apart. And once all the preparation work is done, on the action parts, on the hammerheads, then the piano comes back together and all the mechanics are regulated. And then it comes to the fun part, is adjusting the tone to make sure that the tone is even.
When Ulrich is here, the thing that fascinates me about watching him work is to see the very fine motions that he's doing and the 0.5 millimeter of difference of, filing this little bit off here or moving this hammer just slightly this direction. It looks pretty dramatic when he has the piano all in bits all over the stage. It's a little frightening if you just walk in and see that, but he knows exactly what he's doing and he knows exactly what every part is.
A lot of the work that I do is very intuitive and instinctive. You feel it as much as you hear it. I think it's the skill for me as much as for artists to be able to immediately adjust their touch and the way they approach the piano and the way the piano speaks to how the whole speaks with the piano.
Oftentimes when an artist arrives here at Spivey Hall and we put these pianos out on the stage, we give them the choice of the two pianos, Clara and Robert, and they will try one and think it's absolutely marvelous. And then they'll try the other one and think, oh, how am I going to make a choice? And it's often very difficult for them too. Sometimes our pianists will even want to play different repertoire on a different piano, and they'll go back and forth and say, well, this half of the program or these two pieces I want to play on this piano, but this piece I'd really rather play on this piano, and then we make them make a choice.
It will be up to Inon what he wants to play. Both pianos are set up as good as pianos can be set up with their different characters. I know my first choice of piano, but I would not dictate that on anybody. Also, my first choice of piano might not suit the touch of the pianist. Therefore, if they played my first choice of piano, it might not sound like my first choice of a piano. So on that level, really, it is for them to decide what they want to play. The symphonic in the second half.
Second half. So I'm definitely playing this first half. It's just a matter of whether I'm switching or whether I should just play everything on this. So that I'm.
Why don't we just leave you in peace and you just play around? You don't need to decide now.
Yeah.
But I'm all with you on this one.
Yeah.
And it's no problem using
Yeah.
Robert for the second half.
Yeah.
I would say Robert is chosen more often than Clara for solo piano recitals, because for a pianist coming in, his sound is more immediate. It's easier to get volume on Robert and a range of sound that a lot of pianists like. Clara is just a rich treasure trove of sounds. She has a depth and richness to her sound that I think is just unparalleled. Her action is a little less quick, and getting volume out of Clara requires a little bit more work, but she rewards the effort.
I grew up in Israel, and I guess when I was about 3.5 or so, I started gravitating towards the piano. We had a piano in the house. My mother used to play, not professionally, but upright, and I couldn't stop trying to play it, so eventually they got rid of me by giving me some lessons, and I've been attacking it ever since. One of the reasons I love coming here is that because I know Ulrich has prepared the pianos. He understands the relationship between art and science. So that's invaluable for all of us. I always tell people that the sound of the piano, not the performance, but the sound of the piano is about 30% the pianist, 30% the piano, and 30% whoever is taking care of the piano. I think it's an equal relationship. One without the other doesn't work. I could have played the entire recital on either of those pianos because they were so beautifully prepared. It's our job as pianists to make a piano sound however we want it to sound, but to have both of those great instruments here, I couldn't resist really having the experience of both for me to play both and for the audience to hear what two different pianos in the same hall by the same pianist sound like.
Spivey Hall is such a magnificent place. Whenever a hall is built, you aim for good acoustics. Good acoustics are an elusive quality to any hall. The acoustics were prioritized when this building was constructed back in 1990-91, and they got it right.
Hall and the piano here are so beautiful, and it really does feel like a conversation when you're doing it. You really feel something coming back in the best way. I love small halls. I love halls where you can feel the audience. For a smaller hall, and when I'm saying smaller, I mean like a 500-seater hall, like a chamber hall, that type of thing. There's an intimacy there that there isn't in a 2,000, 3,000-seat hall.
There is something that we create here at Spivey Hall that goes so far beyond what the best, most expensive sound system in the world in your living room can do. It is the sensory experience that you have of being in a place where physical sound is actually happening, not digitized, not reproduced. Sound that you don't know from one second to the next what's going to happen. What choices is that artist going to make tonight? How is this going to sound? And having that artist looking at you, you're connecting with them in a very personal way. It even is the sense of those vibrations in the air, the movement under your feet, the materials in the building picking up those sound vibrations. All of that has the effect of wrapping around you and holding you in this performance space in this exact moment in time to have an experience that you'll never have again.
The difference between a recording and a live performance is so tremendous. I mean, if you imagine the difference between going to a movie and going to a play, I mean, it's a completely different art form in some ways. There's something that happens when a body meets a body, when the attention is there. In some ways, one of the few times that you get somebody's attention is in a live concert. To me, that's the most crucial aspect of it, is that direct communication, that somebody's attention, that you're with them, they're with you for that period of time, you're doing nothing else, and you are going on a journey together. And that's unique.
One of the things that I most love here at Spivey Hall is that we have a community of people that come back because they find other people who share that passion. And I think it's having that experience in a shared place where we are a community and we've brought music in amongst us. I think that's what makes a live performance more special than anything else. That's what Spivey Hall is all about. It's a community of people who care deeply about live music and live performance.
Live performance is hugely important. It's this magic dialogue between an audience that sit to listen to something that happens in the moment. And I think today's concert was very much something you wouldn't listen to that on a record. You want to be part of that. Hopefully, looking ahead, and that's a big challenge for people that run concert venues, to keep live music interesting, to attract new audiences. After the pandemic, I think it's been proven that people really are hungry to listen to live performance.